Okay. So hello guys and welcome back. So this is I think this is the third session on supply. Okay. And today we are about to cover schedule 1. We'll see a few examples of schedule 1, and with this section 7 only subsection 1 will end in 3 sessions. Okay. Why it is so? You guys are doing it, you know why it is, because these are the things which forms the base of your understanding with GST Act. So okay, so let's have a quick revision of what we have gone through the last. So we came onto the part supply, and we know supply is covered under section 7. We are going through section 7 subsection 1, where we have gone to two clauses still now. What one was section 7 subsection 1A, which is a definition, or we can more appropriate word is general meaning of supply. Okay, well, there we see that it includes some kinds of activities which are mainly sale, barter, exchange, license, rental, lease, disposal, etc., made or agreed to be made. What are the important parts are consideration has to be there, and it should be in the course or furtherance of business. Correct. On that, we have seen many examples how things are treated. How do we treat it as a supply? Okay. And then we have moved on to our next clause, which is clause B of section 7, subsection 1, which specifically says about the import of service, and it stands out to be a kind of exception that here, if there is the, what I can say, the benchmark is that there should be a consideration, but it may be or it may not be in the course or furtherance of business, and this is only for the import of service. Okay, and IGST is levied, and I have said that maximum reverse charge will only be applicable. Okay, and for import of goods, if someone asks me, Shivam, what about imports of goods? So imports of goods is to be dealt in custom part. Okay, and then now we are moving on to section 7 subsection 1 clause C, which which comes out to be one more exception, that here is schedule 1, okay, which has got 4 paras, 4 different transactions, where if it is done without consideration also, it is to be constituted as supply, and GST will be levied. Okay, so when we read it out, it comes out to like this, that activities specified in schedule 1 made or agreed to be made without consideration. So what are those? Here I have only mentioned it number 1, number 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, Roman, but specifically these are as per Beer Act, these are paras, para 1, para 2, para 3, para 4. Okay. So first point which comes up to us is permanent disposal or transfer of business asset on which ITC has been availed. Okay. So what does this means? This means that if you are permanently disposing an asset, okay, disposing means maybe it's waste to, maybe you are closing down the business and the said business asset is of no use. So you are donating it, you are disposing it, you are throwing it out, or you are transferring it to someone without consideration. It has to be a business asset, and one of the most important criteria which lies over here is that the ITC on it, on which should have been availed. With ITC part, I think now you guys must be more clear how ITCs are availed. We have seen the example. For the recorded ones who haven't seen our introduction class, please do see it once. You will have a clear idea what is ITC and how it is being done. Okay. So I have said that suppose, so what I said is that suppose here is a business of Mr. A. Correct. Before this, he has purchased some from, say, Mr. P. He has purchased some business asset. Correct. What it is? Okay, let's make it machinery. And he has paid some amount along with GST. Now I'm taking the consideration what Himanshu said yesterday. So it is an inward, okay. So it is an inward supply, and this GST is called as input GST. Okay. Input GST. Why? Because it is flowing to us. Okay, maybe it is going out, but it is input GST. Why? So we know that with input GST we set off output GST. Okay, and whatever amount left is what we are going to pay to the government. Okay, this is what we have a clear idea about how ITCs are claimed and rest are being transferred to the government in the last session. And and suppose on this input GST has been claimed. Okay, it means what I mean to say, all this means nothing but ITC, which is mean which means that input tax credit. Okay, this input tax credit has been availed. That means the GST which Mr. A has paid at the time of purchase of the machinery. Okay, he has already taken the credit along with his some outward expenses of some of his outward supplies. Okay, with outward supplies. Okay, guys. Okay, so what I was saying that suppose he has taken a GST. Okay, he has paid GST, and on that GST he has already taken the credit of it with from some is outward supplies. So can anyone say me which outward supplies? Definitely it has to be taxable outward supply. Then only he can take credit of the same. Non-taxable outward supplies cannot be used for set off.
Yes, agreed.
Okay, so this is what the picture comes that if Mr. A, okay, Mr. A has purchased some business, so Mr. A is disposing this machine. Okay, if is transferring or disposing the machinery, okay, is business asset on which ITC he has already availed. So this transaction, if he does, if with no consideration, then also it is to be considered as supply, correct? And what will be the value of machinery if someone asks me? Okay, I'll say that regarding that value, you need not to worry. There is a section, we call it as section 15, and this itself is a section of value of supply. Okay, it is a part of our syllabus. When we'll go through that value of supply, there are clearly mentioned how this transactions value of that machinery will be calculated. Okay,
5% for 20 quarters. That's the life, right?
5% for the 20 quarters means?
I mean, the life is 20 quarters, and then they will allow each quarter 5%.
Yeah, for that value, isn't it? No?
Yeah, yeah.
You're asking, yeah.
For the value of supply.
Correct. So we'll go through this. What Chandrakant just said, if you guys don't get it, no issues with that. When we'll come to the value of supply, we'll get that. Okay. It's good that he already knows. It helps me.
I mean, I just read a little bit of that ITC.
Oh yeah, correct. That's very good. Okay, so this is what the exception is, that permanent disposal or transfer of business assets on which ITC has been availed. So it is to be considered as supply and GST will be levied. Now let's go on some illustrations for better understanding. Correct? So you guys got it that what para 1 means to say that permanent disposal or transfer or disposal of business assets. All kind of disposal or transfer of business assets made by an entity on a permanent basis, okay, but not on temporary basis, correct? Even without consideration will be treated as supply provided input tax credit has been availed on such assets. Okay, so let's see a few examples. Things will be much more clearer to us. Example 38. Mrs. Z Limited upgrades the customer computer system. Sorry. The existing computer and laptop which do not support the upgraded version donated to a trust. This amount to permanent transfer of business asset. The same will be treated as supply of goods and liable to be GST in the hands of Z when ITC has been availed on such, correct? Provided if company availed input tax credit on such computers and laptops. Very clear to you guys? Very simple.
Yeah. Yep.
Next one. Everything is a bread and butter. Mrs. Sankar Private Limited, being a trader in clothes, permanently transfers 50% of his stock to a society free of cost. In this case, transfer of business stock would amount to supply if company has availed input tax credit on purchase of goods. Very easy. Next one. If someone feels like I'm going too fast, do let me know. I'll slow down a bit. But as we have discussed a lot on all this, so I think this is a kind of very simple. Mr. Das purchased a car for personal use and after a year sold it to a car dealer for 2 lakh. Will this transaction be a supply in terms of GST Act? Anyone can answer this? So let's not read out the
No,
answer.
this would,
For this, consideration is not needed, correct? But what is needed is that it should be in the
should be for business or furtherance of business.
correct. It should be in the way of business. It is not in business as well. It is his personal use, correct?
Yes.
For car for personal use, and we say that it should be of business as well, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Will your answer would have been changed if I would have said that Mr. Das is a dealer in car?
Used it and sold it.
Yes.
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 It would have been supply.
Correct.
And he
if
would
this
claim ITC on
transaction,
that.
correct. And here it is not even a supply also, because it is personal transaction now. But if you
Yeah.
see it from supply point of view, supply means what? When I say supply point of view, I mean to say section 7 subsection 1 clause A, transfer, sale, barter, exchange, license, lease, rental, disposal, consideration. Yes, see, transfer is there, okay, consideration is there, but business is not there. So not even a
Yes.
supply in any form.
Yep.
Next one. Okay, let me read out this. This transaction is not a supply. Moreover, supply is made by individual, is not in the course or furtherance of business. Further, no input tax credit was admissible on such car at the time of its acquisition and was meant for non-business. Okay. With this word, I would like to ask you something. Suppose there is a business. Okay. There is an entity, business entity. Okay, it belongs to Mr. A. Correct. To say, suppose the business which is doing is of liquor. Correct. And not a very good example, but yes, whatever it is. Okay. He has a business entity which deals in liquor, and I don't know why he felt like donating the liquor. Okay, but yes, he donated it. Okay, will it constitute to be a supply? Very bad example, but okay.
No, I think no.
It is a supply.
From GST perspective,
Yes.
it's not.
It's not a supply. Yeah.
Because
correct.
also is it liquor for human consumption? No?
I have only said a liquor. Okay, let me say, yeah, for human consumption. Let's consider it.
So then it doesn't. Then no question of GST arises.
Why? Because it is not taxable supply. Correct.
Yep.
So
Yep.
one more point which we can add from our side is that we also need to see that whether that business is having taxable supply or non-taxable supply. Because if something which is not taxable, how he will claim ITC of that same under the GST? Correct.
Yep.
So these are not given, but this should come from our own understanding that how we think is true. Because law is something which you can bend and mend and amend as per your thought. But thing is to be, it should not be illegal. Okay, we should not do anything illegal. Mr. Rahim purchased a car for business use, correct? And after 2 years, transferred the car for personal consumption to use at home. Will this transaction be found in terms of GST? Note ITC is not available. I don't think anything needs to be discussed. Only no. No means no.
Yeah, no.
Because
Because
supply is not-
ITC was not availed,
Correct.
it will not be treated as supply.
credit was not admissible on such car at the time of acquisition, and it is not to be supplied under GST as per Schedule 1. Correct. But if I used to say that, will it be supplied as per any other sections? Will it constitute?
If the ITC was availed,
no need to see whether ITC. I'm saying that will it be taxable as per section 7 subsection E or P, anything? Do you guys have any idea on this? To give any view on this? If I'm not to check only which, because here we are checking with Schedule 1 only, is permanent transfer of business asset. Except that, do anyone have anything to say on any section that whether it can be supplied from any other ways? Girish, Rekha, Manshu is there, Chandrakant, Chetan is there, I think. Yes,
Sorry, I missed the question.
I asked that, okay, as per Schedule 1, it is definitely not a supply because ITC is not a. But does this transaction amount to supply in any other way or any other transaction or any other entries? Anyone?
It is
No.
not a supply even
No.
in for
Because
related
that-
person also
Yeah, he's transferring for personal consumption. No?
without consideration.
Okay, correct. Because it's not in course of the business, correct? And even consideration is also less. Okay. So why I am asking all this? Because these are all the points which once you complete the chapter, now you need to see it from every point of view, point of angle. Okay, you cannot say if it is not by this, then not by any. It can be by any other thing. So I'm just bringing that practice habit on you guys. Messrs. M and Company, a sole proprietor in the business of selling furniture. Its owner took a set of furniture to furnish his house permanently. Will this transaction be supplied? Note ITC on is not available. It is not available. So will it be a supply? Simple answer. And if I say yes, if ITC was available, then yes, as per section, as per Schedule 1, it is supply, correct? And if I am to say that view it from any other point of view,
if ITC was availed on this,
maybe not.
yeah, if ITC was availed on this, and because he is transferring it to his personal use, there will be a deduction of 5% from the ITC or something like that. I just remember.
No, you need not to go into that what amount of ITC is to be deducted. I'm saying that, okay, we are getting that with this given that not availed, it is not supply as per Schedule 1. Will it constitute to supply in any other way if ITC is not available? Section 1, clause A, clause B, any other way? Will it constitute to be a supply?
I don't think so. As per the GST Act, it will not be a supply.
Correct. So let's read out the solution. No, the transfer of furniture by owner without consideration is not a supply of goods. Correct. They are not saying even Schedule 1. They are saying it from supply of goods means from everywhere. Because credit is not allowed in case of personal consumption of business asset under section 17 subsection 5G, it is value of supply. Okay, section 17 is value of supply. I told you earlier only that examples which are given are not only concerned with supply, they are concerned with many other things. Okay.
Yeah.
Section 17 is ineligible section, right?
What?
No, section 17 is related to valuation.
Yeah. Yes, section 17 falls under valuation.
It's not related to ITC.
No, it's not related to it. Now, what they are saying is section 17, subsection 5, clause G. I have also not.
See, basically 16 is ITC, eligible ITC.
Yeah.
I know that 17 is for eligible ITC. So 17.5.
There might be some point now because I also do not remember exact what is written in section 17 subsection 5 clause G. Okay, so Let me check it out. Yeah, it is. It is ITC cannot be available on goods or service rendered by non-resident taxable person except only goods imported by him for personal use. So why they have given this one, this section? It's of no use over here. You are correct. Even the section is also not related to this credit not allowed personal consumption. OP book. Okay, man. Okay, let's not consider that point now. For now, what was important? No, it is not supply. Correct. Why? Because ITC is not available. Let's not go into that, because what I see, what I also saw in section 17(5)(g), it is something for non-resident ITC. Something is written.
My understanding is it is that furniture is related to business, and
Yeah.
even that furniture is comes under the category of ineligible, ineligible, and
Yes.
that's the reason they're not availed the credits. So
Yes.
in that contrast, if not availing the ITC and it is using for personal use,
For
it
that,
is,
for the time being now, if you don't take that also,
Yeah.
because they're simply given ITC is not available. But
Yeah.
why they have mentioned this section, I have no idea, because this section is also not related to this part also. I've just seen. Maybe there is some that. Okay, let's not go into that one. So let's go on to the next example. It is Mrs. T Limited in the business of hotel. He purchased AC for business purpose, and after 2 years he transferred the AC to director without consideration. Will this transaction be supply in terms of CGST Act? Note AC machines on which ITC availed.
It is a supply because it is transferred to I think
Means it is not transferred to, it is a permanent transfer as well as consideration.
As per section
No need of
7(1)(c), I guess.
correct. Or as per section 7(1)(c), or better to say as per schedule 1.
Yeah, schedule 1. Yes.
So see, now the examples have been done. So with para 1 we are done. So what they have given is that section 7(1)(b) versus section 7(1)(c) of CGST. So we know section 7(1)(b) talks about import of service, correct, and section 7(1)(c) talks about many more things. Okay, so in both the points there are some import of service. So now let's no need to worry with that import. What they're saying is already over here. Okay, move on to the. Okay, so we are done with the para 1. Anyone has any doubt regarding the para 1, or I can move on to the second one? If reply positively, I'll move on to the next one. Correct. I think
Yes,
with the
you,
amount of discussion we had yesterday, things are now simple.
Yeah.
So now comes the para 2, which says that supply of goods or services or both between related person or between distinct person in the course of further service. Correct. So you have to see, it is saying that when there is a supply of goods or service with related person and with distinct person, correct, in the course of furtherance of business, then it is to be considered as supply and GST will be levied. So we have to see who are related person and what does distinct person means. Okay. So yesterday it was not there, but I have done it. I wrote it for you guys. So related person. So officers or directors in another's business. Okay. So if there is a business in which there are officers and directors, they are considered to be related with each other if they are legally recognized partners in a business. Okay. If there is employer and employer relationship, and one more thing you have to note that services provided by an employee to an employee is out of purview of GST. Okay. What we are talking about here is the employer to employee. Correct. If employee provides any service to the employer, okay, in the nature of employment or as per the employment contract, that is out of purview of GST. If something is done outside of the employment contract, definitely it will attract GST. Correct. We'll have good discussion on the same. For the time being now, let's. And one more thing, however, gives up to 50,000. However, gives up to 50,000 from employer to employee is in an financial year is exempt. Okay, it's not liable to charge GST. Correct. Everything is given in such small points. Okay. Third person holds more than or equal to 25% of voting power. Okay. One of them controls the other. Okay, what this all means, I'll say. Third person controls both of them. Such person together controls the third person. Okay. So what this all means is that simply, yeah, here is the case of, we call it holding company. Correct. So if a holding company, suppose it has 4 subsidiaries companies, correct, and suppose this subsidiary has its own subsidiary, and suppose this subsidiary is holding of some other subsidiary, correct. So what they are saying is that holding company and subsidiary, this holding means he is having 20 or 25% more voting powers in all the company. So they are this, so this and this and this and this and this, they are related. Okay, what they are saying, see, this is its subsidiary, but it itself is a subsidiary of this holding one, correct. So indirectly he is having a grip on the subsidiary company, correct. They are also considered to be subsidiary. And for an example, we can frame something like this, that suppose this subsidiary and this subsidiary together holds another subsidiary, then also this and this are related, correct. So it is saying that third person holds 25 or more percent of voting, means it is talking about this one. Third, one of them controls the other. Okay, any one of them can control among this subsidiary. Any one of them can control this one. Correct. Such person together controls a third person, means they together can control this. So they are referred to as related person. Transaction between them, even without consideration. Okay, it will be supply. So these are not at all important. Okay, neither question will directly come from these points. This is just given which points are important. Marking this members of family, and one of them is a sole agent, and this legally recognized. These points are first an employer. These are the points which you need to keep remember. Other, if you don't also, that won't create any problem. Okay, just have that idea, the holding and subsidiary, and how many subsidiaries it may have of the holding or maybe of the subsidiary, all are considered to be related to each other. Okay, so any transaction in that chain it is falling, it is without consideration, it will be termed as supply and GST will be levied. Correct. What happened? What are important? Employer, employee, and in employer and employee are considered as a related person. So with that view, if employer provides any gift to the employee, we will definitely tax it. Will definitely consider as a supply and GST will be levied. But there's also an exception. Okay, that up to 50,000, up to gifts of rupees 50,000 is exempt. Okay, correct. And members of the same family, in the members, I have already told you, it is very simple family definition. Spouse and children are always there, and will include parents, grandparents, brothers and sisters who are wholly or mainly dependent on. So they become related to you. Okay. And one more point, one of them is the sole agent, is the sole agent or sole distributor of that. Okay. Suppose I have a branch in Mumbai. Okay. I have a entity or a shop, whatever you can say, distributorship in Mumbai, and I have only one agent in Delhi, and I have given him the full power of the whole Delhi. Correct. So he is my sole agent, or I can say sole distributor. So if there is any transaction that I send him some goods for selling purpose or for anything for display in his own shop, that will be transferred as, that will be treated as supply and GST will be levied. Correct. Same conditions comes when distinct person is there. Okay. So what do we mean by distinct person? So distinct person is given under section 25, not at all important. Different state, different registration, both are treated as distinct person. I've just written in a very simple language that different state, different registration area. So what I say, suppose here it is Mr. B. He has a branch in Mumbai and he has a branch in Chennai. Suppose he has a branch in Delhi too. Okay. So it is the shop, it is the same shop of Mr. B. Okay. They are registered at the same time, but as they are on three different places, all have to get a separate registration. Say registration 1, say registration 2, say registration 3. Okay. So they for GST law, they are distinct person. And any transfer between them will constitute to supply and GST will be levied on the same. Now you can ask, now you can have something doubt how GST will be charged or how things will work out over here. Correct. This kind of question can come that why if they are saying that Mr. B transfers good to Mumbai, he is liable to pay GST. Okay, then what Mumbai will do? Okay, everything comes to an end with the explanation of ITC. But let's have an example. Correct. For better understanding. So let's have an example. So Mr. B is transferring, say, stock is transferring some stock to Mumbai branch. Okay, and it has, say, for a value of 1 lakh rupees. Correct. It has a value of 1 lakh rupees. And suppose, so what I said that supply of goods or service between related person or distinct person in the course or furtherance of the business is to be treated as supply. Correct? You are on with me till now. So this is an example where Mr. B is transferring its goods to his own branch, to one of his own branch, but it is in different state. Suppose Mr. B is in Kolkata. Correct. What is this? Suppose Mr. B is in Kolkata. So he's transferring to its Mumbai branch. Correct. So in the eye of GST, it is a supply. So say suppose GST whatever is levied over is, let's say 12,000 is the amount of GST. Correct. So what government is saying that Mr. B is liable to deposit this amount of Mr. B is liable to pay this to the government, this amount, because it is a supply and GST will attract over the same. Correct. And Mumbai branch means in the eye of law, Mumbai branch is paying 1,12,000 to the Mr. B, and Mr. B is depositing 12,000 to government. Okay, what Mumbai branch will do now? Mumbai branch, because as it is shown that tax is paid on it, Mumbai branch will avail ITC of 12,000. Correct. Will avail the credit of 12,000. And suppose Mumbai branch is selling these goods at, say, for example, of 1,50,000. So what was the percentage I took over there? It was 12% was taken. 12,000. So same amount of 15% GST will maybe CGST, SGST, whatever it is, however it is split. Okay, I'm considering now it as GST only. So suppose 15,000. So it comes out to be 22,500. Correct. So this is the amount of GST which Mumbai branch will collect from its customer while he will sell the same. So what he will do from this, he will take ITC of rupees 12,000. Correct. And what he will deposit to the government? Will deposit 10,500. See, so government got this amount and government got this 12,000. Add it up, it will come out to be 22,500. So this was the total amount which government was supposed to receive, and it has received the same. So for the ones from the outside view, the one who don't know how ITCs are availed, he can say that, "Arey, like मेरे ही branch से जाएगा तो मैं पैसे क्यों दूंगा? Why will I pay?" But after all, effect is zero only, na? He is collecting that amount. He's taking credit of 12,000. So this 12,000 is being returned to him. He will only deposit the amount which he is collecting. Correct. Things are very normal, but just for seamless flow of credit, which we call it in a, was there in GST, for that flow, it is been done. Okay. And now I might
Yes.
see you. Since I have heard it from someone, I do not have that knowledge. That pre-GST, there were few cases like people used to miss in pre-GST, this inter-transfer of stock was not taxable. Okay, so what people used to do, they used to transfer goods to anywhere. Okay, unknowingly, means they used to hide goods and transfer. And whenever they used to be, is there caught up, they said that I am transferring it to another brand because previously no tax was there. So goods were like going anywhere. Okay, it was being transferred in the name of inter-transfer branch. Anything was happening. So just to have a hold on that too, and just and two. So what are the two reasons? To get the trace of the goods, that from where and where goods are going, and for the sake of seamless flow of credit, this is being done. Correct? You are with me? Was I able to?
We are Shivam. One
Yes.
thing.
Yes, Shivam.
Yeah,
Yes,
Shivam.
yes. Yeah.
In this stock transfer, no, it will be benefited on the marginal value. They cannot even if the company having a distinct person in a different states, they want
Yeah.
to move the movement of any goods. They need to have certain margin amount to add in the valuation.
Definitely.
So in that regard, the government will be benefited out of some tax.
So yeah, what you are saying, that is an practicability. Okay.
Yeah.
But for the understanding purpose, if we go on to with that example, it fits good because
Yeah.
you know that point, I know that point. Okay, but there are many who are going to read it for the first time. So I do not want it to make them complex, that what is that marginal value is calculated, how it is taken, and how on inter-transfer tax are saved. I know that it is there in practical life, but let's not have that right now, because it won't, because I know many will be there who will be. So other than that, you guys were clear with the example, na? How
Yes, Shivam. Yes.
that was my motive. And they will also come, you show them once. Okay, I think you all guys are from same place. So Girish, show them once that how practicability is done. Just for sake of understanding, I did this. Okay. Otherwise, there are many things which I am teaching right now, but when I'll be doing the same thing, I'll be doing something different. Okay. What are the reasons behind that? Off camera, off record, okay. Not on record. But now, do whatever I said, pay tax to government regularly, whatever amount it is. No need to do tax avoidance. Okay. Okay, so this is what was there in point 2, and in point 2, I think there are none of the examples are given for point. Yeah. Okay, one more thing what we can do right now is that we can end our session till now. Okay, and on tomorrow's session that we have on the evening. Okay, will you guys be okay if I start the session at 8:30 tomorrow, because tomorrow is Sunday? So then we can have a 2-hour session. We can cover a lot of that.
How's it 9/11?
9/11 is not
We will have it at
8:30.
No, we have Zafar class also, right? Tomorrow.
that is
No,
10 o'clock.
I'm speaking at night.
Yeah, I'm thinking about night.
Yeah.
Night. Okay. 8:30 or 9 o'clock.
No, but what I was thinking that
Yeah.
if we start at 8:30, we can stretch a bit to 11 also. But if we start at 9, we have to end it. Means I can hardly take 3. Okay, let me end the recording. Okay, so thank you guys. Till this session, up to this, we'll continue tomorrow, and hopefully we'll complete this section tomorrow. Okay, thank you. So
सर कुछ
hello all.
बोल रहे हैं क्या?
हाँ हाँ, नहीं मैं ये बोल रहा था कि अगर आपको लगे कि मतलब थोड़ा इंग्लिश ज्यादा हो रहा है, तो आप आज सेशन में है, तो आप मेरे को इंटरप्ट कर सकते हैं, तो मैं शायद आपके लिए और बेटर ला पाऊँ, क्योंकि जब होते नहीं है कोई ना, तो फिर कोई इंटरप्ट करने वाला नहीं होता है, और फ्लो फ्लो में पूरा इंग्लिश ही हो जाता है। बस वही, आपको लगे तो आप प्लीज मुझे इंटरप्ट कर लीजिए, मैं रुक जाऊंगा। ओके, so in the last session, we are on to the discussion of the section 7 subsection 1 clause C, I think para 2, where we are going through that if there is any supply of goods or services between related person or distinct person in the course or furtherance of business, the same is to be treated as supply. Okay. So these all are the paras which fall under without consideration. Okay. So no matter whether consideration matter is mentioned or not mentioned, it is always deemed to be that it is a transaction without consideration. Okay. So we are on to the definition of related parties, related person. Okay. So here I said that officers and directors of a company or in each other's business are said to be related, legally recognized partners. Employer-employee relationship. Okay. Uh, Employer and employee are treated as relative, but we have a good provision regarding the employer and employee. I'll come back to that within a minute. Let's have, then it was third person holds 25 or more of total voting power in another company. They are said to be related. Okay, one of them holds the other. So here they're saying about holding and subsidiary company are treated to be related. And if there are two or more subsidiaries of a holding, both the subsidiaries are also considered to be related with each other. So any free movement of goods, any free movement of means any free movement of goods or services from any of the other will be treated as supply and will be subject to GST. And next point was such person together controls the third person. The example is joint venture. Okay. The next one is very simple yet very important. It is member of the same family. Okay. And with family, here it means spouse and children, whether dependent or not. Okay. And parents, grandparents, brothers, sister who are wholly or mainly dependent on him. Okay. And one more important point was there, which was one of them is the sole agent or sole distributor of other. Okay. So all these points are why related person is defined, because any free movement between them will be considered to be supply and will attract GST. Okay. So related person definition is done. Okay. Now there is one more thing, that if there is a what I say, supply of goods or service between related and distinct person. Okay. I think I have given a lot of explanation regarding the distinct person, that in GST there is a rule that if a person is having multiple branches in multiple states, okay, then he has to compulsorily take separate registration, and once separate registration is taken, they are considered to be distinct person, means different from each other. And here one more thing can come back. For an example, Mr. A, okay, let's discuss this one. I think once a question came regarding this. Okay, Mr. A has two branches, say B1 and B2, and both are in Delhi. Okay, but for both of them, separate registration has been taken. Okay, so separate registration for each. Okay, it is not mandatory, it is voluntary. Okay, separate registration is taken for both. So any transfer between them will also fall under the definition of distinct person, maybe voluntarily or maybe compulsory. Okay, between two states we know it is compulsory. We'll read that in registration, that uh, having different branches in different states leads to multiple registration. Okay, and one more thing which I missed that day, I'd like to cover it, that establishment of distinct person. Okay, What do you mean by establishment of distinct person? I think in 2021 only case study this question came related to this. Okay, so what do you mean by establishment of distinct person? See, here it means very simple. Suppose there is a Mr. A, okay, and say he has a liquor shop, okay, say in any state one, and he is having a, what I can say a garment shop, or no, let's change it to, I can say, what to say. Okay, let's take the example of garments only. Okay, and one is having garments. Okay, he is having a business of liquor in one state, and he is having a business of garments in state two. Okay, now a question can arise that liquor is non-taxable, correct? Liquor is so this is for human consumption. Okay, this liquor is for human consumption. So we know one thing that alcoholic consumption, no, sorry, alcoholic liquor for human consumption is out of purview of GST. But suppose if any kind of movement does happens from here to here or from here to here, okay, and Mr. A can say that it is because for this as this liquor is out of purview of GST, so no registration has been taken for the same, correct, in the GST Act. So there can be a confusion that whether movement from liquor to garment or garment to liquor would it constitute to be a supply because liquor is not registered. Will still it be treated as distinct person? Yes. Okay. So the answer is yes. This is what the concept of establishment of distinct person means. Okay. Directly case study came, and that was the first time this type of thing has been introduced. It's not even in our matters. So one of the establishment of the said person is registered. Okay, that means he is having taxable supply. In our example, garments, but the other establishment is not registered in the GST Act. Okay, that means non-taxable supply. I meant to say the liquor shop. Then also free movement will be considered as supply and will attract the provision of GST. Okay, now it is a very you can say that how if garments move to the liquor, how will you take the credit? Okay, how the credit will be available. So regarding this, it is a very long story. Okay, so better not to discuss it over here. We'll go through it once we come to the value of supply. Okay, there will be a special provision which will speak up about that if there is a transfer of goods or free movement of goods or services from a establishment of a distinct person from one, what will be the value of supply or how the credit will work. We'll see this in I think in valuation chapter, and yeah, in valuation. Is someone was asking someone? Okay. Okay. When I said that employer and employee are also covered under related person. Okay. So here, one thing has to be very clear in each and everyone's mind is that if an employee provides any services, okay, see, you see this table and everything becomes very clear to us. Services provided by employee to employee, employee to employee. If it is in the course of employment and it is regular basis, no GST. Okay. If it is in the course of employment, contract basis also, if it is employed by the company, that means it is under the terms and conditions of the employment. So new GST will be attracted. Okay. But if employed by a contractor, correct, by the contractor, I mean to say any third party. Okay, then it will attract GST. And this one, this no GST, you can also say that it is out of purview of GST. Correct. And if it is not in the course of employment, any services provided by the employee to the employer will constitute to supply. And one more exception which comes up is that if an employer provides a gift up to rupees 50,000 to the employee in a financial year, then it is exempt. Okay. And if value is more than 50,000, the whole amount will be subject to GST. Okay, so these are the things which we need to remember regarding the employer and employee relationship. Correct. And so let's see this. So what will be the condition for deemed supply between the employer and employee? If it has to be, then what? So first of all and most important, that there should be a supply. Correct. There must be an employer-employee relationship. It should be in the course of furtherance of business, or here you can say that it can be in the course of furtherance of employment as well. Correct. And the most important point, aggregate value should exceed 50,000, then only supply, otherwise no supply. Am I clear with it? Okay. You might feel that why I went so fast through this, because I think last session also we had a discussion on the same. So it was just like a revision of the same. You guys are good to go. I can move ahead with the next para. Confirm me once.
Yes, sure.
Yeah. Now, the next para, which is para 3. Correct. Supply of goods from principal to agent, where agent undertakes to supply such goods on behalf of principal, and from agent to principal, where agent undertakes to receive such good on behalf of principal. Correct. What does it mean to say? Okay. So this is a kind of transaction where a lot of analysis can be made. Excuse me. So let's suppose this is a supplier of, say, for example, raw material. Here is the principal. Correct. Agent. So principal has hired an agent, okay, who will help him in procurement of the goods. Correct. Procurement of raw material. So see, supplier will supply it to the agent, and agent will further supply it to principal. Correct. This is the way the flow has to be. Correct. So see, supplier is supplying it to agent. Correct. It is see, it is a supply. Correct. Correct me if I am wrong. It is definitely a supply as per clause A. Correct me if I'm wrong. What the question arises, whether this transfer, this principal to agent, will constitute to supply or not. Correct. So what is the condition? What is the miss here? If you see the para, it is always being the main thing is they have written behalf of principal, behalf of principal. So what does that actually means? That actually means that whether this agent, correct, whether this agent, while supplying it to the principal, issues bill. See, if supplier has issued to the agent, correct, and agent has further supplied to the principal, and the bill has the means the supplier has already made the bill in the name of the principal. So here, what will be the case? Then it won't be treated as supply, because that is he's merely acting as an agent, correct. But the main supply will be from supplier to principal, correct. If I'm saying correct, if the invoice is on the name of the principal, then no need to worry anything. It is, this agent is merely acting on his own, means it is an agent basis job, correct. So neither this, correct, will be constituted as supply, because supply the bill invoice is on the name of the principal, agent is merely transferring it from supplier to principal. Now, so this is the point. Now we can have another view. What is that another view? Okay, I want a reply from any one of you that this agent is supplying his services, correct. He's supplying some services to the principal as well as the supplier. Will this cover under supply as per section 7(1)(a)? Will this be constituted as a
Yes.
supply? Correct?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we can say that when there is nothing like invoice, and then if the invoice is not issued in the name of the agent, then yeah, it is true that that agent and principal transaction would not be related as supply, but the agent itself is giving the services, correct, to the supplier as well as to the principal, because he is acting as an intermediary. So that his services are taxable, correct. And what the point is saying, what the point is saying now see, the whole scenario will change. We will not think anything like whether agent is giving service or not. See, when I'm saying that agent will further supply to the principal on its own name, then what does it mean? Then supplier is definitely transferring it to the agent's name, correct. So it itself becomes a supply, okay, under section 7(1)(a), correct. And this becomes supply under section 7(1)(c), correct. This is altogether the way that agent is definitely supplying some taxable services. If not, if the bill is not in his name, then his services are to be taxed, are subject to liable GST. And if there's a case like supplier is transferring it to the agent in his own name and then agent again to the principal, okay, then scenario changes. This becomes supply as per section 7(1)(a), correct. And this becomes supply as per section 7(1)(c). I mean to say schedule 1, correct. Now just reverse the situation, correct.
Shivam, if it is not okay, if supplier of raw material, if it is not transferred to the agent name, then it will not be a supplier.
No, it won't be a supply, correct. Then agent supply to principal will not be considered to supply, but agent services to the principal will be supply, will fall under supply.
Okay, any will be for a consideration only, right? The whatever the service which he will be providing to the principal. And
Definitely. He will charge, no? What if the bill is not in his name, he's not. So what's his service? What will he charge? What is his income? The commission that will earn from the principal and the supplier. Correct. And I think you guys have read about Dale Credit Commission, DCA.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
I and Himanshu have read it together. Okay. So when a Dale Credit Commissioner comes into the picture, we know that he also has a lending services. Correct. So if a question or if a case is framed up in such a way, like this says that the bill is not issued in the name of DCA, correct, and DCA is giving some loan services, correct. He's providing some, what I can say, short-term loan or advances to the supplier, and he is charging interest as well, correct. So that would also considered as a supply, correct. See, what is the main thing, what I mean to say over here is that always see a situations from everyone. Means, see, here supplier is not so important. We are not concerned with the viewpoint of supplier, correct. So I am not taking any cases as per the supplier, correct. Supplier will definitely fall under the supply, whether he transfers to agent or principal, because it is in his course of furtherance of business and he will charge consideration for that. So it's always a supply of goods, correct. Maybe to the agent or maybe to the principal. What we are more concerned over here is with principal and agent, correct. If bill is not there, then we have to see it from another point of view also, whether those agent services are taxable or not. Okay, if he's lending, if DCA, means normal agent does the same, but a DCA agent does that job also. I've seen in my practical life as well. They provide short-term loans and advances to the customers, correct. So that time his interest means he will be chargeable under two circumstances. One, his services to the supplier, one his services to the principal, and one his advances to the customer or the supplier, whosoever it will be. Correct. And let's reverse the situation. What I'm saying, let's put the principal over here, agent over here, and not customer. Let's put ignore my handwriting, please. Correct. So if principal supplies to the agent and agent further supplies it to the recipient or the customer. Okay, so how to understand? See, this will definitely be supplied under section 7(1)(a). Correct, because he will charge consideration. It is in the course or furtherance of the business. The points remains over here. This whether principal to the agent supply will be considered to be supply or not. Then again, we have to see invoice. The invoice criteria. Correct. If not, then think it from the point of view of agent. He is supplying services to the principal as well as he is supplying services to the recipient. So his services will be charged as a supply of service. Correct. And replace agent with a DCA. The same goes. Correct. You guys got it? I can move
Yes.
ahead. Okay.
Yes.
So this was the maximum kind of interpretation that can be done from para 3. I tried to do it. Okay. Hope you guys got it. Now let's complete the para 4 also, and then we'll move on to the books illustrations. Correct, because I want to complete this part so that we can continue with the examples thoroughly. Otherwise, we have to move here and there. Correct. I have only 10 minutes left. Okay. Complete this one. So what is para 4? Yes, anyone? Okay. Import of service by a. Yeah. Please come up.
You asked something I missed.
No, I didn't. I said that. Did anyone? Okay. Import of service by a person from related person or from any of his establishment outside India in the course of furtherance of business. Correct. So can anyone remind me that import of service in which section have we read this similar kind? Have we read similar kind? Yes. Sorry, I was not able to hear you. So we read the same in section 7(1)(b), correct? There was import of service. Yes.
I would request to just give a brief snapshot of ABC 3 sections, very quick if you can.
Oh, okay. Let me complete this one.
Yeah. After, yeah.
Why did I remove it? Okay, so we have read something very similar to the section 7 subsection 1 clause B, where you read it about the import of service. What was the point missing over there? Was it should be for the consideration, correct? It may be or it may not be in the course or furtherance of the business, correct? And what they're saying over here is that here it is saying that it may not be for consideration, but it should be in the course or furtherance of the business, and it should be from any related person or from any of his other establishment outside India. Correct. Related person, we have already gone through the definition. What is related person? Correct. From any of his establishment outside India is somewhat what we have read in that point as well. That is the distinct person criteria. Correct. And the most important thing, it should be in the course or furtherance of the business. Correct. So let's have a quick view of whatever we have gone through. So as per so let's first revise the section 7 subsection 1 clause A. Correct. Clause A. What does it say? It is a very general meaning of supply, where it says that some form of activity such as sale, barter, exchange, license, rent, lease, disposal, etc. made or agreed to be made, important point, for consideration, and it should be in the course or furtherance of business. Correct? Now, in section 7, subsection 1, clause B, what we have gone through is that if there is an import of service, if there is an import of service, okay, for consideration, for consideration, whether or not in the course or furtherance of business, it will be constituted as supply. And I have already said that why not import of goods, because it is covered under custom duty. Correct? And then right now what we have gone through is section 7, subsection 1, clause C, where we see schedule 1, okay, which deals with the activities or transaction which is to be treated as supply, even if there is no consideration. So what we have gone through in para 1, okay, so schedule 1 consists of 4 para, or you can say 4 entries. So entry number 1 was permanent disposal or transfer of business asset on which ITC has been availed. We have seen many examples on the same. Second one was supply of goods or service or both between related person or between distinct person in the course or furtherance of business. Correct? And in third entry or third para, we have seen supply of goods from principal to agent or from agent to principal. Okay, or from agent to principal, where agent undertakes to receive or supply such goods on behalf of principal. Correct? We have just gone through. And the last one, that is the para 4, says that if there is an import of service from related person or any of his establishment outside India, it should be in the course or furtherance of the business. It is to be treated as supply. Correct? So with this, we have completed our section 7, subsection 1.
I have one doubt, Shiv.
Yeah. I have only
Uh,
5 minutes left.
Yeah, actually, this 4 point is also having import of service by a person.
Correct.
This comes under 1C, right?
Correct.
And 1B is also say import of service. But
Now, the difference remains is that
not in course of furtherance.
yeah, no, not
Okay.
in course or not. The main difference is of for consideration. In B, it will be covered when it will be for the consideration. It may be or may not be in the course or furtherance of the business. Correct? And what we see in section 7.1c is that it should be means what I can say, it is done from the related party or between distinct person, means establishment outside India, without any consideration. Okay, and it should be in the course or furtherance of business. I also have an import of service. This chart. See, if there is an import of service, correct, it is for consideration. Okay, if it is in the course or furtherance of business, it is supply as per section 7, subsection 1, clause A. Correct. If it is not in the course or furtherance of business, then it is covered under section under section 7.1b. Correct. And if it is without consideration, and yes, in the course or furtherance of business, plus it should be from related person or distinct person, it is supply under section 7, subsection 1c. Okay, and if it is without consideration, it is I can say without consideration and not also in the course or furtherance of the business, then it is not a supply. Correct. Even if it has a criteria of related person and distinct person. Correct. Then I can.
Shivam, in B point also it is written can be or cannot be for furtherance of business, right?
Yep.
And in C also, but the key difference is related person or
Consideration.
distinct person.
Consideration.
Next second. B point says import of service for consideration, whether or not in course of furtherance of business, whether or not. Okay. Consideration की यहाँ बात ही नहीं, for a consideration
नहीं, यहाँ अगर कंसिडरेशन हुआ, ठीक है, ये कोर्स में हो चाहे ना हो, आप सेक्शन क्लॉज बी के हिसाब भी कर सकते हैं. करेक्ट. लेकिन अगर कंसिडरेशन की बात नहीं करता है और फर्दरेंस ऑफ बिजनेस की बात करता है, तो देखना पड़ेगा क्या रिलेटेड पार्टी है या कोई और एस्टेब्लिशमेंट आउटसाइड इंडिया से है. करेक्ट. तब इसमें आएगा, नहीं तो फिर सेक्शन 7.1b में जाएगा. और अगर तीनों चीजें रहेंगी तब तो फिर सेक्शन 7.1a में चला जाएगा ना. तब तो फिर
की डिफरेंस फिर ये रिलेटेड पार्टी और डिस्टिंक्ट पर्सन के ये जो उसको
ये नहीं, डिफरेंस मेनली जो है वो कंसिडरेशन का है. करेक्ट. क्योंकि बी में भी बोला है कि बिजनेस साथ हो या ना हो. ठीक है, मतलब बी में बिजनेस हो भी सकता है. करेक्ट. और सी में भी बिजनेस हो ही सकता है। डिफरेंस क्या है, कंसिडरेशन होना चाहिए। करेक्ट, कंसिडरेशन होगा तो फिर 7(1) में चला जाएगा, और कंसिडरेशन नहीं होगा उसके साथ ही साथ रिलेटेड पर्सन और एस्टेब्लिशमेंट होगा तो सी में चला जाएगा। देखना है
Okay.
Correct. So I have less than 1 minute left, so I'll end this session. Correct. You can join back with the same link that I provided. Okay. So let's meet right back. Okay. I'll start the session right now. It's so late. Okay. So we have gone through the section 7, subsection 1, all the 3 clauses. Okay. Now we'll walk through a few examples for today's session. So till this, the examples we have already discussed. For anyone who feels like I'm skipping something, I'm not. Like, there's a smile on my face. I think that person should know why I'm having this. Okay. So any person directly or indirectly owns, controls, or hold 25% or more of the outstanding voting stock or share, or both of them. Correct. So it is regarding that related person. Correct. So these all are the examples relating to the section 7(1)(c). Sorry. Yeah, 7(1)(c) para 2, where supply of goods or services between related person or distinct person in the course of furtherance of business. Correct. So Mrs. Beta and Company holds 30,000 shares in Mrs. A Limited and 25,000 shares in B Limited. Correct. Share capital of Mrs. A has 1 lakh equity shares of 10 each, and B Limited has 80,000. Correct. So this is just for calculating that what percentages are there. So I feel like both are more than 25%. Correct. 1 lakh 30% and 25,000 80%. Yeah, more than 25%. Since Mrs. Beta Limited holds more than 25% of share of company A and B, correct. So they are like subsidiaries of Mrs. Beta company. So A and B will be treated as related. Correct. In the company A and B Limited, they will be considered as a related person. Correct.
Yes.
I move on to the next. These are simply examples. So Reliable Group has 3 companies, namely T Limited, L Limited, O Limited, as group companies, and Mrs. Reliable Limited as a parent company. Okay, Mr. Reliable holds 25% of the share in each group of company. So T, L, O all are considered to be related person. Correct? Very simple. Next, Ravi and Company, a CMA firm. Ravi and Company, employer who is represents his employee. What English? Who is represents his employee before income tax authorities, but does not charge any professional fee in respect of the same. Is it supply? Is it liable to GST? Yes or no? They
Yes, yes.
have
It
said
is a
that
supply.
they have said supply, but I would be highly happy if someone can say with a proper reason why it can also be treated as not a supply, with any assumption or something. Like if you assume that 50,000 is the criteria which is not being held, they are out of from related person definition. Correct.
Yes.
By that way, they become, this is not a supply. Can I say that?
Yes. Basis
I
of
can
assumption.
also, I cannot
No,
also. Quite debatable topic, na? Because gift is not something which can be gifted like this. One can say, is it a kind of gift? Okay, so let's go on to the book only. But I can say not taxable also with my proper reasons. So it would constitute a taxable supply under GST and be subject to levy and collection of tax. Correct. So this is the employer-employer chat which I have copied. Correct. Supply includes and excludes service provided by employee to employer. In the course of employment, regular basis, no GST. In the course of employment, contract basis, employed by the company, no GST. But if employed by some other parties, it is liable to be paid under GST, and any services provided by the employer to the employer not in the course of employment would attract GST. Correct. The next one, Ram has received a sum of 5 lakh from his employer on premature termination of his contract of employment. Ram needs your advice to ask whether such receipts are liable to GST or not. It is not a supply as per section 7(2)(a) of CGST Act. Supply excludes services provided by employee to employer in the course of employment. So why they are saying this? Because covered under Schedule 3 of CGST Act. So Schedule 3 is nothing but section 7(3). Give me a second. I'm really sorry, section 7(2), not 3. Correct. Section 7(2). There is a schedule 3, which is a negative list, which says that what kind of services or what kind of transaction would neither be supply of goods or service. Correct. And there is there is an entry, if I'm not wrong, I think entry 11 will be there, which will say that services provided by the employer to the employer are out of purview of GST. Correct. Hence, amounts so paid would not be chargeable to GST. Correct. Okay. This is a good one. Mr. Raju, an employee, provides his service on contract basis to an associate company of Bikram Enterprises, the employer. Okay. Contractual basis. The above activity is being carried out in lieu of specific monetary consideration. Is it supply? If so, who is liable to pay GST? Correct. Yes, it is a supply of service. Liability to pay GST in the hands of associate company of Bikram Enterprise as per section 9(4) of CGST Act 2017. So what is this section? Section 9 is, you can say, charge under GST. Okay, this is the next topic which we will pick up after this one. Charge under GST. Okay, kind of a charging section. So there is a section 9 subsection 4 which specifically talks about the reverse charge mechanism. Okay, there are list of entries. Among them, this is one of the entry. Note, since Mr. Raju supplied services for consideration to associate company, correct? If the same would have been provided to the Bikram Enterprise, the employer, it would not be supply of service, correct? Because over here only we have read, if it is in the course of employment, it is contract basis employed by the company, then no GST. But it is employed by, means it is employed to associate company, means on a contractor. Okay, this contractor here means the associate company, so it will be liable to pay GST, correct? Associate company of Vikram Enterprises, but not to his employer, correct? However, section 9(4) of CGST Act is suspended till 31st March 2008. Okay, so this is a kind of thing required. Okay, maybe this book is ahead of that, so it is given like that. Okay. Salary paid to partners by partnership firm liable to GST? No, it is not a supply. Why? It is merely appropriation of profit. Correct. Now, for the time being, now don't go to this. Who is liable to pay? Okay. When we'll read section 9, subsection 4, there are things that is very clearly stated. What will be what? Okay. Now what we have to say is that whether all directors, including managing director, is an employee of the company. Correct. So here are a few cases given. Managing director. Okay. Here the contractual relationship of master or servant. No. GST is liable to, yes, if there is not employer-employer relationship, GST is liable. Whole-time director, they are considered to be the employee, so GST would not be payable. Correct, out of purview. Executive director, yes, they are also considered to be as employee on contractual basis. So no GST. Non-executive directors, no. Correct. So GST will be liable. Independent director, nominee director, never. So GST is payable. Correct. So only whole-time director and executive director. Correct. These are the two who are considered to be as part of the company. I mean to say employee. So for them, no GST. Other than that, GST will be levied. Correct. Director remuneration, CBS. Okay. I think I have already told you that how to read this. Correct. So 140 is the total, is the number of circular that has been released till that date. Correct. And 10 means it is the 10th circular of the year 2020. Correct.
Shivam, I think MD has a relationship with the employer.
Sorry. No.
I think
no.
MD.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Every company has its CMD, right?
CMD. Why are you taking CMD into this?
No. This director की scenario में managing director लिखा हुआ है ना.
नहीं, मैनेजिंग
MD is
डायरेक्टर नहीं आता कॉन्ट्रैक्चुअल रिलेशनशिप की बात कर रहे हैं. नहीं,
एम्प्लॉय तो होता है ना वो कंपनी का.
नहीं, कहाँ एम्प्लॉय होता है?
यार एवरी कंपनी
मैनेजिंग डायरेक्टर एम्प्लॉय होता है? नहीं, क्या बात कर?
यार एवरी सारी कंपनियों में सीएमडी नहीं होता.
होने से तो क्या एम्प्लॉयर हो गया क्या? तो उस हिसाब से तो वॉचमैन भी एम्प्लॉय हो गया.
अरे यार वो नहीं, मैं कह रहा हूँ कि
नहीं आता है. मैं समझ रहा हूँ आप जो बोल रहे हैं, मैं समझ रहा हूँ, पर मैनेजिंग डायरेक्टर एम्प्लॉय के लिस्ट के अंदर नहीं है. सिर्फ दो ही है, होल टाइम और एग्जीक्यूटिव, यही दो है. मैनेजिंग डायरेक्टर एम्प्लॉय की लिस्ट में नहीं है. क्या बात कर? या फिर देखता हूँ, मैं थोड़ा और देख लेता हूँ, फिर इस बात का.
क्योंकि मैं लाइव एग्जांपल इसलिए दे सकता हूँ. प्राइवेट कंपनी में तो एमडी ओनर ही होता है, ठीक है, इसलिए नहीं आता होगा, ठीक है. बट इन केस ऑफ PSUs और इन केस ऑफ गवर्नमेंट कंपनीज like in our companies, there is a board of public enterprise selection board, PESB, under Ministry of Labor. PESB appoints CMD.
नहीं, मुझे सिर्फ डेफिनेटली इतना तो ज्यादा मैं क्लियर नहीं, पर यस, मैनेजिंग डायरेक्टर इज नॉट एन एम्प्लॉय ऑफ द कंपनी. डू एनीवन हैव एनी अदर व्यू रिगार्डिंग द सेम? Rekha, Chandrakant, anyone? I means how far I know is that managing director is not an employee of the company, as per my knowledge. You guys have any idea regarding this?
No, Shivam, I don't have any idea on that.
But I have how far I have my ideas correct. Okay, we can have the Google Baba.
Maybe we can check that later on. We'll move with the.
Yeah, it is not an employee. Himanshu, it is not. Yes, I was correct. It is not. We'll have a discussion on this. Correct. So see, this is the circular, is what they have already written over here. Okay, let's read it out. Okay. As per section 149 subsection 6, correct, this is director section, okay, of the Companies Act 2013. Independent director is not an employee of the company. As a result, remuneration paid to independent director or nominee director is taxable in the hands of company on reverse charge basis. Correct. Remuneration paid to other than a nominee director, independent director, nominee director, that is managing director, whole-time director, is subject to TDS under section 192 of Income Tax Act 1961. Okay. Then covered under schedule. Okay. Then covered under schedule 3 of CGST Act 2017, and hence excluded from supply. So here what they have said by this, it seems that MD is they are saying that if TDS is under section 192, that means salary is paid, so employee, but it is excluded because of Schedule 3 of CGST Act 2017. Correct. So I think Himanshu was right. Managing director is employee, but why specifically his salary is out of here? No idea. We'll check it out and we'll confirm you guys. Okay. Check it.
What do you mean by Schedule 3 of CGST Act?
Okay. So you woke up. See, I think
Hey,
here
that's
I have said something that section 7 subsection
The
2 will
cover.
come.
negative list. It's a
Negative
negative
list.
list.
Oh, okay. A negative. Okay, got it.
That is schedule. We'll have a schedule 2 also.
In section 7 2, we will get a Schedule 3.
Correct. And in the next section, okay, in section 7(1)(a), there will be schedule 2 also. Correct. Which will say that if it is a supply, whether it is of good or service. So there are only 3 schedules, and all of the 3 are in section 7 only. Correct.
Section 7 subsection under
1A. After this one, means we have gone through section 7 subsection 1. Till now we have complete it clauses A, B, and C.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
C is schedule 1.
Yes.
After this, there will be section subsection 1A. Okay. Because this is what I have in the first day. I think I have given you the view. See, section 7 subsection 1A is schedule 2, and section 7 subsection 2 is schedule 3. It is negative list, and schedule 2 is whether supply is of goods or service. Okay. Next, this will be our next part of it. So,
Okay.
So, on the other hand, remuneration paid to other than independent director, nominee director, that is manager director, full-time director, subject to TDS. See, under section 194J, means the same page in 2 paras, 2 different things are written. Ignore the managing director part right now. I'll confirm. Income tax are then taxable in the hands of company or reverse charges. Okay. Fringe benefit, compensation to employees in form of money is not a supply. Correct. This is the example which I have already. Premature termination. Okay. 5 lakh sum. This is what we have done. They have given the examples. After that, they have given them. Okay. However, fringe benefits are supply of goods or service and are liable to tax if not exempted as per CBIC clarification. Fringe benefits are transaction in furtherance of business, even if supplied without consideration, the same are deemed supply and will attract GST. Okay, so it simply says about the thing which we have already discussed. This is in clarification regarding the same. Remuneration paid to the directors, the circular director other than independent director, remuneration paid to director is subject to TDS under section 192 of the Income Tax Act, then covered under schedule 3, no GST. Okay. Remuneration paid to director is subject to TDS under section 194J of the Income Tax Act 1961. The tax then taxable in the hands of company or reverse charges. Okay. Independent director thing is clear that it will be taxable in the reverse charges. Okay. The only things remain is this managing director part. Correct. We'll check and update you. Okay.
No, I've already found.
No, Himanshu asking that.
I've already shared. I already shared the link.
Yes, already.
I was right.
I'm not yet checked. MD is an employee. Yeah, I also said that they have written here only that it is employee, but it is not covered. It is
No. Click on the link I shared in the chat. You can check it later.
Right now.
You can check it later. It's
okay. I love it. I haven't seen the screen. Okay, I'll check it. As I told here also that here also they have said that if the TDS is under section 192, then definitely salary
that is for salary. Salary only.
Salary. Yeah, I said that only. That then again in the letter part they have said section 194J. So I need to check why it is out of, why they have said this. Check on that. Fringe benefits under RCM under section 9(4). Okay, CGST Act. Correct. Reimbursement to staff is an expense in the course of furtherance of business, and if sum is against a taxable supply taken from unregistered supply, reverse charge mechanism will apply. Okay, right now it's not our part, but we have gone section 9, section 4 of CGST Act. Okay, there are a list of notified goods and services on which reverse charge will be applicable, correct? So you'll see that in that only, it's not needed, right? Distinct persons specified under section 25 of CGST Act. Okay, so this is what we have already discussed, correct? If you want it, I can read it again. No issue for me. Every place of business of a person where separate registration is obtained for output supply will be considered as a distinct person, correct? Section 25, subsection 4, a person who has obtained or is required to obtain more than one registration, whether in one state or union territory or more than one state or union territory, shall in respect of each such registration be treated as distinct person for the purpose of this act, correct? This is what we have seen. And section 25, subsection 5, where a person who has obtained or is required to obtain registration in state or union territory in respect of an establishment has an establishment in another state or union territory, then such establishment shall be treated as establishment of distinct person for the purpose of this act. The said example which I have given, that if it is not registered and suppose one is registered and supply is being done, free movement is being done, that also is to be treated as supply, correct? So this says the same thing that we have discussed. Now let's quickly move on to the example. CMA Ram, a practicing cost accountant, has a registered office in Chennai. He has also obtained registration in the state of Andhra Pradesh in respect of his branch office. Okay. CMA Ram shall be treated as distinct person in respect of registration in Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh. Transactions between head office and branch will be considered as supply of service even though there is no consideration. Okay, nothing to explain. Things are simple, correct?
Yep, yep.
Mr. C of Chennai makes a taxable supply for Tamil Nadu exceeding 20 lakhs. Therefore, Mr. C will be required to obtain registration in Tamil Nadu. Okay, not our part right now. We haven't gone through registration. So 20 lakh, 40 lakh. I think I have given that hint that some things are for 20 lakhs, some things are for 40 lakhs. So it's saying the same. Such person may have establishment in the state of Telangana where number of taxable supplies are made only. The establishment in Telangana helps in handling material like procuring and storing. Hence, establishment in Tamil Nadu and establishment of Telangana will be considered a distinct person even when establishment in Telangana is not registered. Correct? So, long story short, the example of liquor shop and the garment shop that I have given. Correct. Here it's saying that one has exceeded the limit of registration and one have not yet crossed the limit for registration. So one is registered and one is not registered. Even though one is not registered, any movement between the same will be considered as supply. Correct? I've already gone on. Okay. Mr. C Limited has 3 branches, A, B, and Z in different states. A Telangana has run out of stock and B from Andhra Pradesh transfer its excess stock. Is it supply? GST will be levied. Yes, it is supply of goods and liable to IGST. Why IGST? Because different states are there. Correct. I have only 7 minutes left. Gifts not exceeding 50,000 in value of a financial year by employer to employee. Services by employee to employer in the course or relation of his employment shall not be treated as supply of services. Schedule 3. Okay, Schedule 3, what it is, we know. However, gift not exceeding 50,000 in value of a financial year by employer to employee shall not constitute supply of goods or service or both. Correct? The 50,000 exception. Example, Mrs. Guideline Academy Private Limited gives Diwali gift to each of his employee worth 75,000. Correct? So more than 50,000, it will be taxable. Since employee and the employer are considered to be related persons, such gift treated as a supply would be leviable to GST on the entire value. Correct? Now the para 3, supply to agent or by agents. Okay. Supply of goods by principal to an agent or by agent to principal will be considered as supply even if without consideration the said transaction are leviable under GST. Correct. We can quickly go through this. Mrs. P Limited, registered person located in Cochin and having a godown in Cochin, transfers the goods to clearing and forwarding agent, okay, C and F agent located in Chennai, correct? Such activity on transfer shall be considered as supply even if there is no consideration for such transfer and hence liable to GST. Okay. For here transferring to the agent, correct? So invoice has to be prepared and it will be prepared in the name of that clear C and F agent, correct? And invoice, if the invoice is in his name, it will be transferred at supply, correct? That's what we have seen till now. Okay, next. Paul and Company engages Honda Car Limited as an agent to sell cars on its behalf. Honda Cars Limited has supplied 50 cars to the showroom of Paul located in Chennai. Supply of cars will qualify to supply and the same is liable to GST. Okay. See, the main thing is that agent to sell car on its behalf. On its behalf, correct? Messrs. M Limited, being a garment manufacturer, appoints Mr. Ram as an agent who stores garment manufactured by M Limited and sends to dealer whenever M Limited asks. Mr. Ram to do so. Ask Mr. Ram to do so. Is it supply? Yes. Transfer of garment from M Limited to Ram is taxable supply under GST and GST will be levied. Correct? So I have only 4 minutes left. So I won't start from this. Okay. But this is the simple clarification regarding the all those that I have already discussed, like procurement agent I have gone through. Okay. Only auctioneer part is there, which I have not yet gone through. We'll go through tomorrow. Auctioneer. Okay. So see, procurement agent and auctioneer. Oh, what will we'll see that if they are doing anything on behalf of the person, okay, that will be considered as supply, and if not, then no supply. See, Mr. B doesn't fall under the category of agent cover schedule 1 in case where invoice is issued by Mr. B to the buyer. The former is an agent covered under schedule 1. Correct. So we'll see this tomorrow. So today till this only. Okay. We'll continue the next from tomorrow. Thank you.